Hey, welcome to La Cucina Famiglia. I'm Angela Dominic, and today we're in a beautiful top secret location with my good friend Doogie Russell, who is a mycophagist, which means, tell us what that means, Doogie.
A mycophagist. It sounds pretty important, doesn't it?
It got me all tied up.
A mycophagist. I told my wife when I die that I want that put in my obituary because it sounds so important. You know, people would think that I was a doctor or something, and you know, I had a hard time getting out of high school. But anyhow, mycophagist is a person that hunts and eats wild mushrooms.
So you're a big mushroom consumer, huh?
I have been consuming mushrooms for 45 years and loving every minute of it, and I find more and more each year as I go along.
Very nice. Tell me a little bit about how you find the mushrooms. I mean, here we are on the coast in this beautiful spot where, I mean, I wouldn't be walking around out here. Tell me a little bit about how you find your mushrooms.
The particular mushrooms that we're looking for today are chicken of the woods and hen of the woods. Both of them grow on oaks, big oaks. And you're looking for an area like this here, like you see with these beautiful big oaks. And it's a hint to anyone that might have them on their property that if they keep their eyes open, they could have some wonderful mushrooms.
So how do we know when we're out here looking around our trees what we're looking for? How do we know when they're edible or when they're poisonous or what we're looking for?
That comes with training. You just don't go out and become a mycophagist.
Okay.
There are old mycophagists, there are bold mycophagists, but there are no old, bold mycophagists.
Eating a few too many things that didn't agree, huh?
Yeah.
So I think we've got a nice mushroom right here behind us that we're gonna take a good look at.
This is a good size hen of the woods, nice size. And to cut something like this, you have to have a good knife.
Looks like a fishing knife.
This is my old filleting knife from the summer, and then in the fall it becomes my filleting knife for the mushrooms.
For the mushrooms. All right, let's take a look
under
here.
A mushroom like this is pretty rugged, so you just need a good knife to get underneath, make the cut. Break it off.
Holy moly, look at that.
That's all edible. The whole mushroom is edible. And we'll just cut off a bit here.
And we're taking that off why?
We're taking this off just so that you don't muddy up your car and get rid of any insects that might be on the bottom there.
So
after that, break off a couple of leaves, a little bit of grass, and voila, that's all solid white meat and ready to eat.
So all of this flesh down in here, oh, we got a friend here visiting. So all of this flesh down in here is all edible?
It is, from the top to the bottom, yeah.
So can you tell me when we're looking at this mushroom down here, what it is we're looking for to know whether this is fresh or whether this is ready to eat or whether it's too young or too old or anything like that? Can you tell me what we're looking for?
One, you can go by the color of the mushroom. This is starting to tan out pretty well, and which is telling you it's on the verge of turning. Then you'll see white all over it, like a white powder, which is the spores dropping from these spore holes.
Oh, I see what you're looking at here.
Like a sponge almost, you know?
Yep.
Okay. Now this is a fresh mushroom, and it breaks off nice, but it's a little gone by. When they break off like that, it's still edible, but the piece should break off and peel right down to a point. So this one is just about ready to can, but it is still edible. Something I wouldn't sell to a restaurant or a store.
But would make a beautiful super stew?
Wonderful, wonderful stew. Definitely.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
I think we're going to go look around and see if we can find something else. So we're going to pack this up in our basket?
Yeah, we'll pack that up, but if I could just show you one more thing here.
Sure. Okay. Let me drop this in my basket.
This is one
here.
Look
at this. This almost looks like a truffle.
And they disguise themselves pretty well at times. But this one is just starting, and you can see the color in this one is quite different from that.
So
and I can feel it and tell it's a lot fresher, right?
So this little tiny mushroom right here is
Yep.
going to grow into that big thing over there.
It may. There's a certain feel that you get for them, and by feeling this one right now, I can tell this is going to stop. It's
Okay.
not going to go any further, so we're just going to reach underneath here and cut it. Bingo. And it's all nice, clean, white meat.
Now
Almost like a truffle.
Now, that's what I thought. It looked a lot like a
Yes.
truffle.
Yeah.
Now, is this going to stop growing because of the time of year, because we are getting into late fall?
We could probably go another week or maybe 2, depending on the weather, and I can still pick right up, sometimes right up till November.
Does frost affect the mushrooms?
Frost helps the mushroom because it kills any worms that attack the mushrooms, and helps preserve it because it's like putting it in a refrigerator.
Right. Well, that makes sense.
Yes.
All right. So do you see anything else you want to pick at before we start walking around and finding some other trees?
This area we've kind of covered, but I'd like to go out front. There are more trees out there that we could check, and hopefully we'll come on something other than the hens.
All right. We're going to take a walk. We're going to pack these up, and then we're going to go ahead and take a walk up through the woods and see what we can find. I really want to find some hens.
And chickens.
And chickens. These are hens.
These are the hens.
These are the hens.
Yeah.
We're looking for the chickens. I'm still learning about the wild local mushrooms.
Here I don't have to disguise what I've been picking, only because this is private property and nobody's going to come here except me.
Right.
So-
Oh, these are Doogie's
I do
private secret trees. So from walking around out here in these beautiful woods, we've come across something really, really cool. Doogie, tell me what we got here.
This is the chicken of the woods, or the sulfur shelf.
Sulfur.
Sulfur shelf.
Why would they call it that?
It looks like sulfur. It has that sulfur look, and it grows in shelves, as you can see here. See the different shelves right here, and it grows up. This is nice and fresh, as you can feel. It almost feels like meat.
It does feel like
All
meat.
chicken, right?
Absolutely.
And which tells you it's nice and fresh. It's a gourmet's delight. A lot of the restaurants love this because it adds so much to the plate when they're bringing it out in the gravy. It's orange and yellow and so forth. And a waiter will come out and have that on his shoulder, and the people look up, what is that? I want it,
Yeah, these are really, really neat looking. So you never know what you got out there. Get out into your yard, check it out. Find some really cool trees and pick some mushrooms. Then we're gonna head back to the kitchen. Now that we're back in the kitchen, we're gonna go ahead and put together an entire dinner party surrounding the wild mushrooms that we went out and foraged for. I was hanging out with Doogie, who's a mycophagus, which
I think that's what.
I
I forget
know,
what he
huh?
said. It's a huge word.
And all that means is that he's a guy who hunts and forages mushrooms, but he also eats them. So I thought that it would be kind of fun to put together an entire dinner party using these wild mushrooms that we find outside growing at the base of, well...
Right outside. There's one right down the street. A huge one that's right down the street.
Can
I mean,
you
they're
believe that?
everywhere.
I
They're
know.
everywhere. It's awesome.
They grow on oak trees. So if you see a big cluster of oak trees out in the woods, stop and pick some dinner. What the heck, right? So what we're going to do for dinner today, we're going to start with an appetizer, a puff pastry appetizer that are called palmieres. Traditionally, they're made with they're sweet, with like brown sugar and cinnamon.
Yep.
Sometimes people call them
Little
jalapenios.
dessert cookies.
Right, little
Yeah.
dessert cookies. We're going to make them with the mushrooms. We're also going to make a butterfly pork tenderloin that Rob's going to cut and then I'm going to tie up. We're going to sear it off and put it in the oven. And as a side dish with this, we're going to make a nice creamy Parmesan polenta and a big rustic, we're using all our wonderful root vegetables, mushroom ragu.
Yeah.
All right, you ready to get started?
Let's do it.
All right, what we've gone ahead and done is we did a little bit of prep work ahead of time, just to, the tedious stuff. All we did in this bowl is what you call a duxelle. Now, a duxelle is something that you would find if you're eating a beef Wellington, the mushroom paste or puree that you would find inside the Wellington is a duxelle. This is just some hen of the woods, some chicken of the woods, both of the wild mushrooms that we're using today, as well as some onions and some shallots, some fresh thyme, and some white wine that we cooked all down and then put in the food processor and made into this nice paste. We're going to use the same duxelle to fill the tenderloins. But while you're cutting the tenderloins, I'm going to let you go ahead and do the meat so he can get yucky. I don't have to. I'm going to go ahead and do the nice tender part. I'm going to fill the puff pastry. So all you want is to give it a nice dollop in the middle and then spread it all around. We're going to do a couple of them so you can see the roll that we're using. We got to save some for the pork though. A couple big dollops there. That should be enough for the pork, huh?
Oh, plenty. More than enough.
All right. So I'm going to go ahead and spread these, Rob. You want to tell people what you're doing?
I am trimming the silver skin off of the top of this pork tenderloin because when you bite into that, it's just going to be really, really tough and chewy. I mean, any of this silver stuff that you're seeing right here, any of this white fatty stuff, you kind of just want to trim it down. You don't have to get it all off of there, but most of it would be good because it's not going to cook down or render at all.
So the silver skin is that lining, kind of the membrane almost?
It's a muscle lining.
Okay.
It keeps the muscles attached to the tendons and stuff like that.
So usually your mushroom duxelle doesn't have this much color in it, but because we use the chicken of the woods, which are the orange and yellow mushrooms, it's got a very fall-looking color scheme to your mushroom duxelle.
I know, it's kind of like a little Halloween as well.
Yeah, what do you think? We're just going to try to get as close to the edges as we can with these. Let me get this one spread too, so then I can show you the roll, which is kind of a fun little trick. The nice thing about an appetizer like this is that you can fill this with almost anything. I do them with a tomato bruschetta, which is just your tomatoes and some fresh basil, some garlic and olive oil. I do them with a olive tapenade. And
that one's my favorite.
Yeah, I like the olive ones too, which are great for a cocktail party because the olives and the puff pastry.
Keep people drinking.
Yeah, well, that's right. The saltiness, if you're having a martini or if you're having a nice glass of red wine, it's beautiful. All right, I think that's pretty good. I'm pretty spread out pretty evenly here. All right, so what I'm going to do next is we're going to roll them. And all we do is we take our ends and just roll it in as tight as we can, give it a couple of times around, and then start with the other side. So we're just rolling them so they meet in the middle. And then again on this side, and then that side, and that's that. And you can see what I'm talking about when I say that they're nice and swirly, and then we're gonna slice them off and bake them in the oven. Let's do it one more time. So we're just tucking our ends in, nice and tight, so we get a nice firm center, and then roll them up till we get about halfway to the middle, and then the same thing on the other side. Yeah, these would be great with apple butter or or a chutney. Oh, especially this time of year in the fall when all your tree fruits are falling.
When all my favorite food comes back.
Yeah, I know, me too. I'm going to move this just a little bit so we can pull out our cookie sheet. Whoops. As we drop in a million things. We're just going to put these right on a cookie sheet. Like I said, we're going to take a slice on them. Just it's like a ½ inch. And then we lay them out. Whoop. I'm sticking to my knife there. All right.
Wow, Angela, those look great.
Yeah, they're going to be really fun.
How long do they usually take to cook?
About 6 minutes, 7 minutes.
Well, that's even better. I mean, quick and easy.
Right, that's what I'm saying.
Easy.
If you keep a box of the puff pastry sheets in your freezer, and even if you've got, some tomatoes and some garlic in the house, or a can of tomatoes, you have some people stop over and you want to put together a quick appetizer. I mean, you can use, like I said, you can use all kinds of different stuff to be able to fill these with, and you've got an appetizer that really has quite a wow factor in no time whatsoever.
They look beautiful when they come out too.
Yeah,
they look so beautiful.
I'm going to do one tray of them, and then I'm going to wrap the other one in saran, and I'm going to go ahead and pop it in the freezer, and so we can go back to it. So if
How long can you hang on to those?
Oh my goodness, they freeze so well, especially
Yeah.
if they're wrapped in saran, because it's puff pastry. So you got a good 6 months on them.
Wow.
So,
That's awesome.
you know, you make a batch of them. You do 4 or 5 logs at a time, throw them in the freezer.
You got all
and
your
then-
parties taken care of, all your
Yeah,
winter parties.
That's it, all at
cool.
one time. So let's get a couple more of these out, and then I'm going to have you put them in the oven for me.
Sounds great. Let me just wash my hands real quick before
Yes,
I
because you're done porking.
get all that yucky pork juice off of myself.
The tenderloins are going to be absolutely delicious with the mushrooms. You can do this dish with a pork tenderloin, or you can do it with a beef tenderloin. This same mushroom duxelle would also be fantastic stuffed in a ravioli.
Oh, yeah. Oh, that would be delicious.
What do you think about that one, huh?
We should do that next week.
Mushroom raviolis, wild mushroom raviolis. All right, let's get these even on the tray, because they are going to puff up a little bit, because it is puff pastry. And there we go. That's what they look like. And then Rob's going to go ahead and pop them in the oven for me. That's that. Let's move this one right out of the way, and I'll wrap it in saran after. And I'm going to move on to filling your pork. You probably want to give your knife a good rinse
the
before
knife
you
and
get
the board
started.
are both going to have to disappear.
I'm going to take your board right away, because the same thing I just did by filling the puff pastry, I'm going to do with the tenderloin. So we're just going to take, Rob opened these up nice for me. Going to flatten them out a little bit. And then we're going to go ahead and fill them. So while I'm doing this, what are you going to work on?
I guess I'll just start the mushroom ragu. We can start chopping up these lovely, beautiful mushrooms that Doogie brought you.
Nice.
And get the celery, fennel, and carrots going. We're going to get it all on the stove real quick. And
So what's going into your ragu? You're going to put some celery,
Yep.
some carrots,
Yep.
fennel, mushrooms.
Yep, and I got some beautiful leeks.
Okay.
I got some shallots and some onions.
Tell me about why your leeks are in the water, Rob.
Oh yeah. Oh well, if you look closely at these, you can really see that dirt in there. You got to really rinse them, and you
Yeah.
got to really get them nice and soaked, or else you're gonna bite into it and you're gonna get that gritty, nasty,
So what? It's like a
hurt your
little
teeth taste. So you got to soak them.
a little leek bath.
Yeah, it's a little bath.
Giving the leeks a bath.
Yeah, they're loving it.
Loving it. All right, you go ahead and get started on your stuff, and I'm going to do the same thing again. Like I said, I'm just going to fill these with the mushroom duxelle, and then I'm going to show you how to tie them. Just a basic butcher's tie. Get these all yummied up. And don't be afraid to use your hands. Again, as you've heard me say many times, like my grandmother always said,
Get in there.
if your hands aren't in it, it doesn't taste as good. All right, all the way down to the end, so every bite gets some mushroom in there.
Oh, that looks delicious.
Yeah, it's gonna be
I
really
cannot
yummy.
wait to eat some of that.
Let's get a little bit more over here on this side. And there's just a little left. Okay, now I'm gonna go ahead and kind of give these a little roll. They're not gonna really roll back up because it's not that big of a cut of meat, but you just wanna get the mushroom inside and seal the edges a little bit.
Get all
Just
those
like that.
mushroom juices flowing through there.
Yeah, get it all yummied in there. And then we'll do the other one. Just kind of tuckle it all in. And if a little bit comes out, well, you know, that's the crispy stuff that's around the edges.
Those are your snacky side treats when it comes out of the oven.
That's the yummy stuff. All right, now we've got my towel to wipe my hands off. Some just regular old butcher's twine we're going to use.
You can use just regular string as well,
Yeah,
right? If you have it floating around the house.
As long as it's a nice cotton string.
Yep.
That doesn't have, you know, not like a twine that's like the brown twine.
Yeah.
Because then some of the fibers will get into your food and you don't really want to eat that.
Yeah,
But
nobody wants to eat that.
no. So all we're going to do is, let's turn this a little bit so you can see what I'm doing here. We're going to get right up underneath the meat, just on the end, and we're going to tie our first knot. And we just want a regular knot. Don't squeeze it too tight because we don't want all the filling to ooze out the ends. Okay, we're gonna come right up along the side, and we're gonna hold your finger here, scoot it under the meat, and then through. So see what happens? As we've got a nice little, so it just tightens up a little bit. We're gonna go and do that again. We're gonna go down. We're gonna scoot it under the meat. Oops, throwing duxelle everywhere. And through. And it closes that up nice and tight. And we'll do that again. Hold our finger, come under the meat, come up through, and give it a little tug.
Wow, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's really, it looks a lot more complicated than it really is. So you can do this with beef tenderloins, you can do it with pork tenderloins, you can do it with almost anything. And then I'm going to try to hook the tail in, so I'm kind of going to go around the end and then come up through the same twine again to just kind of tighten the tail in. And then we're going to finish it, just making a knot and finishing off. Oops, right up through and make myself a knot. And then one more time just to make sure it's secure. Right up through and then just through with a knot. Okay, so that's the first one. All ready to go, and let's turn the board around and I'm going to do the other one. I'll just get rid of that twine and start with a fresh piece. So while I'm doing the second one, you want to tell everybody about what you're using for vegetables and talk about some cuts and all that good stuff?
Yeah. Well, on the fennel that I am cutting right now, I'm going to want a little bit of a smaller dice because it's got a really licoricey flavor. And if you're eating the mushroom duxelles and it's going with the ragu and the creamy polenta, you don't want a big bite of licorice in there. So I'm going to dice this really, really small.
So if I'm at the grocery store and I'm looking for fennel, it's called something else too sometimes?
It can also be called anise as well, which is more classically known as the licorice taste.
Right.
Yeah, I'm going to try and get these as small as I possibly can without them melting away into the ragu, which wouldn't be too much of a bad thing.
I was going to say, that sounds like it would be a nice background flavor.
But I like a little bit of the crunch to it, so I'm just going to say this is probably a small dice. It's about, quarter inch by quarter inch.
Now, in your classic French training, what would you call that, Rob?
Oh, no, brunoise would be an eighth of an inch by an eighth of an inch.
Excuse me. We go back and forth at the restaurant because all the time. Because although
how do you want that cut, Inch? You want brunoise? You want a quarter inch cut? I don't know. Cut it. Make it look good.
Although I too was trained, Rob did his training in the south of France, so he got a lot of very technical French training, whereas I cook a little more rustically. So
there's nothing wrong with that.
No.
I love it. It's a great change for me.
So we tease each other a lot. Do you want an Angela chop or you want a Rob chop?
Yeah.
All right, finishing off the end on my other one, tucking it in, and we're almost ready to sear. Ooh, I can start to smell stuff in the oven.
Oh, those are looking beautiful.
Are they puffing up already?
Oh,
yes,
sure
they are.
I'm going to get this cast iron skillet heated up for you if you're getting close to searing.
I am. I'm almost ready. You're just going to have to salt and pepper them and give them a good sear.
Oh, these look great, Ange.
Give a little wipe down. And I'm going to cut some mushrooms, I guess. These are the big crazy ones. These are the chicken of the woods. And
yeah, those are really cool. I really like those a lot.
I'm just going to start chopping. So what are you doing over there?
I'm going to get a nice little salt and pepper crust on here, so when we sear it, we're going to seal all that flavor right into the top over the mushrooms. Nobody likes bland pork.
No. Wow. Okay. I'll just keep cutting mushrooms. I'll let Rob deal with the stove. There we go.
It's coming back.
So when we're cleaning the mushrooms, you want to make sure that you get all of the underside off. There's usually some dirt or some grass or whatever from them growing outside in the wild. So again, these look really wild. They're really, really delicious, sauteed in a little bit of butter and scrambled in with some eggs. They work fantastic in soups. You can use them in stews, or like we're going to do today with the ragu. And again, we used them in the duxelle to make the palmieri's with.
Brighten it up a little bit. Gives it a little color.
It gives it a little color, yeah. So I'm just going to match the dice that you already did?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Because those are going to, you could do them a little larger if you like, because they're going to shrink up just a little bit with the heat.
Okay. So, and this is our trash pile over here.
And this pork is just about ready to go in.
Oh, can't wait to hear that.
It's a good sound.
There it is. That's what we're looking for, the sizzle.
One of my favorite sounds in the world.
You want to make sure that your pan's really hot when you're doing your pork tenderloins, because you're looking to get a nice caramelization, a nice sear on them. You want to peek at the palmieri's?
Absolutely. Oh, they're looking beautiful.
They're all puppy, getting ready.
Check them out. I'd say we've got about another 2 minutes left on those.
Perfect.
Oh, they smell unbelievable.
Can't wait to try those. All right, I'm doing some of the chickens. You want to do some of the hens?
Absolutely. These are the really fun ones that grow on the side of these oak trees.
They both actually grow on an oak tree.
Oh, they do?
Yeah.
I was unaware that the chickens did.
Yeah, the chickens, the hens when we went picking,
Yep.
they were growing all around the base of the tree. Now the chickens, wait till you see the footage from the woods. The chickens were like almost halfway up the tree.
Oh, really?
See, now you're cutting that out. Doogie, the mushroom guy, told me that that's part of the really good stuff, is the white fleshy stuff.
Yep.
Let me get you a bowl to put, oh, you got a thing, to put all the dirty stuff in?
Yeah.
All right. Okay, let's keep on chopping then.
Oh, that pork smells unbelievable.
So it's a nice fall-themed dinner party. The pork and mushroom. All right. So we're going to use things like thyme and what are we using to deglaze with? We're going to use some brandy today.
Use a little brandy. Brandy pairs perfectly with mushrooms.
Yeah. I think that I got enough of these. What do you think?
Oh, I think that's more than enough.
Yeah. Again, the color is going to be beautiful in there. So I got a little nub left for breakfast tomorrow morning.
Yeah, make some strandies.
Yeah. All right. I'm actually going to peek on your. I'm going to go ahead and peek at his tenderloins. Oh, beautiful. They look beautiful. Let me move this out of the way real quick so we can see the perfect sear that's going on these. The color we've got is gorgeous. See, we're losing a little bit of the duxelle, but that's going to happen. We've got plenty in there.
Clear that right up.
Yeah. Rob, I'm going to ask you to go ahead and move that pan forward for me,
Sure thing.
if you don't mind. And at that time, I'm going to go ahead and go to the stove because it looks like my palmieri's are just about ready. Let's take a peek. Oh yeah, look at those. Those are perfect.
Oh, wow, those look great, Ange.
All right.
Oh, they smell so good, too.
Yeah. Let's get those right out. See that? I'm going to sneak right behind you.
Yep.
That's one of those things, like I said, we throw these in the freezer and you slice them off And 10 minutes later, you've got this beautiful appetizer that when your friends come over, somebody pops in and surprises you, you've got an appetizer all ready to go in the freezer. And
All in under 10 minutes.
yeah, you've got a
Ooh.
clean board.
I'll split
That's
one.
taste fun.
I'll split one with you.
Yeah. All right. So what do we got left to do?
We just got to start this ragu. We got to
hot.
get these porks in the oven.
All right, you want to get your pan fired up?
Absolutely.
I know, it's wicked hot, I know.
Oh, I
So
know. I thought about it. And I was like, oh no, I'm going to burn myself.
yeah, give it a second to cool down.
Yeah, I'm thinking these are getting ready to just go right into the oven.
All right, you ready for that?
I sure
You
am.
go ahead and do that. Rob can take the heavy pan. All right, beautiful. Let's get that one shut down. Or not. Okay, so you've got your pan all fired up and ready to go?
I do.
Perfect. You're on, you're ready.
Ready to rock and roll.
All right, so you're gonna start all the veg, actually, quick, let's take a bite. Cheers. Those are nice.
Oh wow, those are really nice.
They're light and flaky and buttery, and the mushrooms have just enough woodsy. Those are really, really yummy. Yep, very happy with that. Okay, so I'm going to pick some time for you, because in the ragu, there we go. In the ragu, we're going to add thyme. So when you're doing thyme, you just want to, they come in like they're like little trees, and you want to pull the stems off, and if you just slide down, if you hold them on the tip, and then put your fingers on the side, and oops, I lost the top, and pull gently down, you get all the little leaves off. And that's what we're looking for with thyme, is the little leaves. Although when you get some little tips like this, the stems are very tender, so they're all right. It's the big woodsy part that you don't want, although they're fantastic to save and throw in with your vegetable stock, you know, all that good stuff that you have from all week when you're peeling carrots and peeling onions and the tops of your leeks and your fennel in your freezer for your vegetable stock. So I always save things like this for that. You almost
And this
ready?
is going to be going in with you, right?
Yep, you go right ahead and I'll get this going over here in this little bowl for you.
Perfect.
And then you can get the mushrooms off my board and I'll give it a chop for you. So what are you starting with? Butter, oil? What's going on?
I'm starting with a
in
little
there?
bit of canola oil because I like the high temperature. Canola oil really tends to not burn. You can burn it, but you got to bring it up to about 450 degrees.
Now you say not burn compared to what?
Compared to like an olive oil where the smoke point is a lot lower. Like I'm sure everybody at home has tried to put the olive oil into the hot pan and made the big black smoke explosion. Because the smoke point is a lot lower. But on the canola oil, it's a lot more filtered. And it's just,
You can go a
you
lot
can
higher
go real
on
high,
temperature.
like with peanut oil or walnut oil. But
All
I
right.
really prefer the canola because it doesn't really impart an oily flavor into your food. But I'm going to dump this stuff right in here. Oh yeah.
That's the sizzle we're looking for.
Yep, and this is just the celery, the onions, the carrots, a little bit of mushrooms, and some onions and shallots.
And you're going to take my mushrooms. Let me put them in the bowl for you.
Yep,
I'll get them all ready.
give those a quick stir.
All right, here's some more mushrooms for you.
Let's just dump them right on in.
All right, I'm going to dump them right in with all the other aromatics that he's got going on in there.
Oh yeah.
That's a pot.
That's so colorful. And I'm just going to start throwing some salt and pepper into here because really everything you cook should have salt and pepper in it.
So the salt's going to help move things along quicker?
The salt's going to bring out a lot of the flavors from all the aromatics that we have in here.
Yep.
It's gonna leach some of the moisture out of the mushrooms as well, and it's gonna, when we have the ragu, it's gonna be really kind of creamy, but it's gonna leach out all that mushroom flavor right into this pot. It's gonna be beautiful. Oh, look at all the colors in here. That's so beautiful.
So I got about A little more than a tablespoon of thyme. Do you need more than that?
No, I think that should be plenty.
Okay. I'm going to give it a rough chop. And all I'm going to do is, again, make sure you've got a good balance on your knife. I always choke up on it. And you want to keep your tip on the board and just rock back and forth. So we're just milling through the thyme, giving it a nice chop. In case you do get any of those stems in there, you don't want to bite into them that way. Gives it a nice little chop. And it lets out a lot of the oils that are in the thyme. The smell is just, I love the smell of thyme.
Oh, I do too. It's to die for.
I think up there in my top 5. I can't put it at the top because I have such a coriander addiction.
Yes, you do.
I love the smell of dried coriander. I love to use it in all kinds of yummy things.
Yep. And our leeks have just come out of their bath, and they are nice and clean.
Okay.
No more of that dirt after they soaked in there for a little while. So those are just going to go right in there. Sometimes you end up with a little bit of dirt on the bottom of your bowl, so you need to be really careful. Nobody likes crunchy dirt.
No.
Nobody likes crunchy dirt.
No, especially not in your food.
Oh, this is about to start smelling real good, real
Pop
fast.
that back in there. All right, so now we've got an appetizer out. What have we been working for? 10 minutes maybe?
Yeah, about 10 minutes.
We've got an appetizer out and already made. We've got the main course, the pork in the oven, already cooking. You're working on the veg, and then the only thing we have left to do is the polenta, correct?
Yeah, that's all that's left.
See how quick this is?
So quick. I mean, this is a 20-minute meal.
Dinner party.
Hands down.
That's gonna feed 6 to 8 people in no time whatsoever. And boy,
Not only feed them, but I mean, they are going to be really happy with what they're
happy
eating.
food. All right.
It's real simple. You can just go out in the woods and find this stuff and take it home, clean it. Make sure it's safe to eat before you start going picking mushrooms.
And then you can base a whole meal around it. I'm going to sneak my last bite of my palmieri here.
Yeah, we're just going to let that do its thing. Hang out for a little while.
You want to start your polenta?
I think that's a great idea.
I can actually stir it for you if you want. Actually, can I have your bowl?
Absolutely.
I can talk a little bit about what that is. Polenta, one of my favorite side dishes. When I was a little girl, my dad would make the polenta and put it in a loaf pan. A little less cream than what we're going to do today, and it'll get nice and firm. Now, I have a large group of celiacs, people who have wheat gluten allergies who come into the restaurant. And one of my favorite tricks that I taught somebody was to take your polenta, cook it off until it's nice and thick, put it into a loaf pan with a little bit of saran wrap in it, and leave it in the refrigerator overnight. Slice it off like bread and batter it like you would French toast.
Oh, yeah. Oh, that sounds awesome.
My dad used to make this for us all the time when we were kids, and it was one of my favorite breakfast things. It was hearty and warm and yummy, and it's all based out of cornmeal. So that's really all that polenta is. It's a fine cornmeal that we're going to cook up with a little bit of vegetable stock, a little bit of heavy cream, and a little bit of Parmesan cheese, just to make it really, really savory and yummy. You also can cook it up breakfast-like and use some sugar and some cinnamon and make it a little bit sweet. But it's one of those really versatile items that they fry. You use them for an appetizer. You could cut them into little rings and fry it off. So many different things. I think it's such an underutilized.
Oh, it is. I mean, you can grill it, you can puree it, you can batter it like French toast. I mean, so many different ways.
So many different ways. All right.
You can thicken sauces and soups with it.
You can thicken sauces and soups with it. Some polenta. Rob's going to go ahead and get it started.
Yep.
What's in your pot?
I've got a little bit of vegetable stock that we had made earlier on. Just about 2 cups. So all it is carrots, onions, celery, leeks. I'm sure there's, some mushroom stems in there from all the mushrooms we've had lying around, and then you just cook it down with some cold water, bring it up to a boil. 45 minutes later, you get a beautiful, beautiful vegetable stock.
I actually threw some rosemary and some sage and
Oh,
some
really?
thyme sprigs in this batch of vegetable stock. So it's going to have a really nice flavor. I really attribute a lot of it to the leeks. I think leeks.
Oh, leeks are perfect for stock.
I love them.
Absolutely perfect.
Love
Because I
them
mean,
to
nobody
make
likes
stock.
leek tops. They're crunchy. They're the dirtiest part.
Oh, but they make the best stock. Almost, I like them in chicken stock.
Mm-hmm.
I like them when we're doing veal stocks.
Mm-hmm.
I like them in vegetable stocks. Anything. We actually are going to. We're going to fancy up the vegetable ragu a little bit today by using brandy. Now, we're not looking for anything expensive or fancy. Just some you know, a regular old brandy.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to give a lot of depth
Absolutely.
in the back of the mushroom ragu. When we're using the brandy, we kind of want to cut it a little bit. So what else we're going to add is a little bit of tomato paste. When we get to that, we'll show you all about it.
Mm-hmm.
I just want to make sure we got it open for you. And we don't need a lot. And it sounds like, you know, you're making food for dinner for the family. The brandy's all the alcohol in the brandy's all going to cook off in the ragu before it's time to eat it. So all we're going to get from this is that depth of flavor that's going to pair so nicely with the thyme and the woodiness of the mushrooms. So here, I got that all open for you whenever you're ready for it.
Perfect.
And your vegetable stock's up to a boil.
Wow, that was quick.
Yeah, do you want me to do the polenta or?
Sure.
Right. So here we go, polenta.
Choose your weapon.
Choose your weapon. When we start it, I'm going to start it with a whisk. Once it starts to get thick, I'll change over to a wooden spoon. Just so when it gets a little bit thick, we need to, I don't want it to get all gummy in the whisk. So our water's boiling, and we're just going to add it in and give it a stir. And make sure we don't have any chunks. And polenta's pretty quick. I'm going to turn it down a little bit. Whoops.
Looks good already.
Yep, already, right? And now I'm going to switch out to my wooden spoon. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Just because it's easier to get into your corners that way, it's got to cook a little bit more because the cornmeal has to be able to absorb all the liquid and get all nice and happy in there. Let's give it a big old pat of butter. Whoops.
So everything's better with butter.
Everything's better with butter. That's a couple of tablespoons. I'm going to add one more, like 3 tablespoons of butter.
But it's fall, why not? Butter, heavy cream, throw it all in
Sweater
there.
weather.
Yeah.
And I think I need the heavy cream, actually. You say that, and I think I'm ready for it.
There you go. You want me to just dump that
Go
right in
right
there
ahead
for you?
for me.
There we go.
Now, like I was talking about, by putting it in a loaf pan, before we add the cream, the consistency that it was, nice and thick, that would have been the perfect consistency to be able to put it in a loaf pan or lay it out on a sheet pan and let it cool, and it will make a nice, firm polenta.
Mm-hmm.
This way, adding the cream to it, we're going to keep it nice and creamy this way.
At this place I used to work at a few years ago, we used to make chickpea French fries.
Oh, nice.
They were really, really interesting. We did the same exact method as what you're doing now.
Yep.
And then we laid them out on a big piece of parchment paper. And you sprayed it down really, really, really well with some pan release. And then you just put it in the fridge. Let it sit there overnight with another pan on top of it. And you weight it down with a couple cans or something, about 5 to 10 pounds of weight. Let it sit there. Take it out the next morning and cut it out into French fries. And you
then
just
fry
throw
them.
them right in some oil, and they taste just like chickpea French fries.
That's pretty cool. Parmesan cheese
Parmesan
and
cheese.
salt and pepper. We're going to add some Parmesan. Now we're just flavoring. Add a bunch of, let's just throw it all in there. Again, it's sweater weather.
Yeah, right? Cheese, butter, cream. I love it all.
And we're probably not going to need a lot of salt because we used the Parmesan, but let's give it a little salt and pepper. And as always, I'm making a mess because that's just how I roll. And a little bit of salt.
Probably by the time this is all done, our pork should be getting ready to take out to rest.
Yeah, you're almost ready to go to the glaze there, huh?
I am just about ready. As soon as you're done with that, if you would pass me the brandy, that would be
awesome.
That would be great.
And I might need just a touch more cream for my polenta.
Alrighty.
That's easy enough. Brandy for you.
Oh, thank you.
For the stew.
Do I get to do the one for
No.
you?
Leave Julia on the back burner today.
You're going to want to stand
beautiful.
back
Yep.
when you do this because you
Go
don't
ahead.
want
We've got the flames coming up from the brandy. The pan is hot and the brandy is very flammable, which you want to make sure that you know that this is going to happen, so you're cautious of it.
You don't want to lose your eyebrows or
No.
the front of your hair, your eyelashes, or anything like that. But it'll only burn for about 15 to 20 seconds until all the alcohol is cooked off. And then we're just going to have that beautiful, beautiful undertone of brandy with the mushrooms and all the celery. It's going to be perfect.
Now what do you got left? Just fold in the tomato paste?
Yep, just my tomato paste, and we're ready to rock and roll. So we're just going to let that flame down a little more.
And what I'm going to do, I'm going to take just a touch more heavy cream, and I'm just going to rest it on the top of the polenta. Half a cup or so. And if we just let it rest on the top of the polenta, just like when you're holding mashed potatoes or something, say that dinner's all ready to go, and your mashed potatoes are all done and ready, but dinner's not going to be for another 10-15 minutes. If you leave a little bit of cream just sitting up on top of your potatoes or on your polenta and then fold it in when you're just ready to eat, it'll keep them from getting gummy and from getting really thick on you. So we got a little bit of cream, we're just going to let sit up on top, and when we're ready to serve, we'll stir it in and it'll keep it nice and creamy for us.
All right, and I am ready for that tomato paste.
Here you go. Tomato paste for you.
All the fire is gone. Give that a quick
nice. Love the smell of the brandy in there, the combination of flavors.
On the tomato paste, you really don't need a whole lot. I mean, maybe just 2 to 3 tablespoons just to thicken it up a little bit. We're just going to stir that right in there. Oh yeah, that smells really tasty.
It's going to be really pretty. The colors are going to be fantastic on this. And you know, it's all about presentation. It's got to look good, especially if you're having a dinner party. And,
well, yeah, definitely. Well, you eat with your eyes.
Yep. Oh, we know it's going to taste good because we're cooking.
Well, yeah. That I'm not worried about. All right. We have mushroom and vegetable ragu.
Shutting everything down. All right, I'm going to take a peek.
How'd I do, boss?
Oh, that smells fantastic. The colors and the textures in this are just absolutely beautiful. They're going to pair so well with this whole entree. You want to check the temperature on our pork?
Yeah, I'm going to give it a quick peek.
And see, we're probably just about ready. Let me move this back so you can pull the pork. I think we're almost ready.
Just about. I'd say we need another 3 minutes on that, and then we are ready to rock.
That'll be just enough time for us to give a little tiny clean down, and then we can get.
Yeah, we should get our plates out, and
here we come.
my favorite part, we get to pair the wine.
Yes, we do. All right, let's grab some plates. All right.
These are new and fancy. I like these.
Yeah, I think they're kind of like a half plate, half bowl. So.
Then you can save all that juice, and you can slop it up with some nice bread at the end
Yeah,
or
well,
something.
and the polenta will sit nicely in there. That's one for you and one for me. And, oops. As always, I have to wipe everything out. I'm going to grab the wine, and we each got a wine glass.
Oh yeah, I missed when you went to the store for this. What did you grab?
I actually decided on a Pinot Noir. Even though we're having pork, we're going to go red. It's a French Pinot Noir. It's called an Echelon. And it's got a lot of like berry and prune undertones.
Good.
And I thought that the prunes will pair really, really nice with the pork and the polenta and the creaminess and the Parmesan cheese. So it's going to have enough depth to be able to balance out all the richness and the creaminess of everything we're eating, but without overpowering anything. I know a lot of times people think pork, they think white wine.
Yep.
Pork, you can go either way. You can go red or white. And again, with all of the other ingredients, I thought a red would be nice. Not something as heavy as a Merlot or a Cabernet.
Yeah, well, it's got that hearty, earthy, you know, fall
Right.
thing to it. I mean, that's what we're doing here.
So here we go. I'm going to give you a pour. I opened it about an hour ago to let it breathe. It's got, you can almost see the color of it isn't real bold and red. It's almost got a little bit of that pruny redness to it. You can see around the edges of the glass that it's got a little bit of, like I said, like a prune color to it. And while you're doing that, I'm actually going to get the palmiers off that pan and onto a plate so they look pretty. Because we don't want to present stuff like looking like that, do we?
No way.
No way, not after all this work. Let's get some of these palmiers onto the plate. And tell me your guests won't be wowed by this dinner.
They'd have to be. It'd be crazy not to.
So how's that polenta? Nice and creamy?
Oh yeah, it sure is creamy. It's got all that cheese. You can still see the cheese. It's still melting.
Nice. All right, just a couple more.
All right, I think we're just about there on everything.
Beautiful.
Let's get this pork out of the oven.
Ooh, slippery little buggers. There's that. And that pan's not hot anymore.
Wow, Ange, you got to come check this out.
Here I come.
It just looks beautiful.
Some olive palmiers.
Wow, everything's looking great.
I know, huh? Fun. Oh, look at that. That's exactly what we're looking for. Pork is, because of the fact that, you know, everyone gets all nervous about pork being cooked all the way through. We really want pork to be
I prefer mine medium rare.
medium.
But I'd
Medium.
say for everybody else, I would recommend medium. Because then it
Medium.
just dries out and
Yeah.
it sits and it
And the nice thing about this is when we took the tenderloin and we butterflied it open, what's really happening is that we're giving it more surface area to be able to cook. So it's going to take even less time than if you leave the tenderloin whole because you're not having to worry about getting through a big whole tenderloin. We butterflied it open and so that cooked in no time whatsoever. And by just touching it, the rule of thumb is by using your hand. If you squeeze your hand really tight, that's well done. Loosen it up a little bit, medium, and then with your hand wide open, that's rare. It's, you know, it's one of those things, a thermometer, a meat thermometer.
works.
is always
Sometimes in the
best way.
restaurant we don't have time for thermometers
Right.
and things like that.
So, okay, I'm gonna let you pull one over to your board
Yeah.
and we'll move your plate forward and I'm gonna start plating. I'm going to make the first plate. I'm going to start with some polenta, and then I'm going to go ahead with some mushroom ragu, and then we'll finish it off with the tenderloin that Rob's going to go ahead and cut. So you go ahead, and let's actually bring the polenta over so we can catch you cutting. Oh, that's beautiful.
This just smells incredible, Ange.
The
You know
nice
what?
thing about a meal this quick
Yeah.
is that we get to eat sooner.
I know. And you always want to make sure you take all your strings off because you don't want anybody biting into a string.
Just giving a nice base of the polenta around the bottom of the plate. Looks like butter. It's nice and creamy. I guess I'll make you a plate too.
Promise, really? Oh, this pork is just cooked perfectly.
The
It's
color's beautiful.
perfectly medium. I mean, that is just, and you see that stuffing right through there in the
Yep.
middle. That is incredible.
Fun with food, yay!
And this is the hardest part of the whole meal,
Right,
cutting the strings off the pork.
keeping it in one piece.
Yeah.
All right, and I'm going to go to the stove for the for the ragu, one at a time. We'll go right in the middle with a nice big dollop of that. And there's one of them. And then I'll plate yours. And the second one. And then we just need pork and garnish.
Just a little bit of pork.
Yeah, you want to try to fan it around so it looks nice and pretty. I'll let you do your plate in front of you. Oh.
Oh, that is where it's at.
Yahoo! And then this one.
There we go.
All right, and then to finish, I'm going to give a little bit of shaved Parmesan. You can use shaved, grated. You can buy a piece and use a vegetable peeler and do that with. We just want people to know that there's a little bit of Parmesan cheese in this and a little Parmesan cheese in yours. You want to move your board out of the way so you can eat with me?
Absolutely.
And then I'm just going to take a little tiny sprig of thyme for each of them. Again, so people know that we've got some thyme in there. And let's give you a little sprig of thyme. And a little sprig of thyme on there. And ta-da!
Wow.
Pork and polenta.
And that was quick.
That was really quick.
That couldn't have taken any more than 20 minutes.
I'll put one up here. And that's our dinner. And let's try
good.
some.
It's chow time.
Yay! All right, I'm going for the pork first.
For the pork.
Yeah. Although I can get a little pork with a little duxelle, with a little polenta,
And a tiny bit of cheese
and
on top.
and a bite of mushroom, all in one bite. Oh,
Wow. That is
Yay.
incredible. Out of this world.
so excited! I can't wait to eat. Okay,
How's
let's
that go with the wine?
yeah,
give it a whirl.
let's taste that up.
Well, cheers, Edge.
Oh, see, now I think that's the perfect pairing for this. What do you think?
Oh, it's perfect.
I like that an
Perfect.
awful lot. Well, I guess that's going to do it for today. And in the words of my grandmother, Ci mangia bene, viva bene. To eat well is to live well.
Cheers.
Thanks, Rob.
Thanks for having me.